Welcome to the DAKSH Podcast. I'm your host, Surya. I work with DAKSH, a Bangalore based non-profit working on judicial reforms and access to justice. This episode is part of a special video series under our Pathways to Digital Courts initiative. Pathways to Digital Courts is a collaborative knowledge project bringing together expertise from various domains: law, management, litigation, public policy, technology, with the purpose of making digital courts a reality. We explore what can be done, where it could be done, and how it could be done. In these episodes, we explore the journeys of digital transformation in other large, complex public systems and institutions to see what lessons they can offer for courts and tribunals. In the first episode, we discussed the digitization of the income tax department. Today, we're discussing one of the largest technology rollouts in the world, the GST. To discuss this topic, I have excellent panel today. Mr. Prakash Kumar, welcome, sir. He is the CEO of Wadhwani Center for Government Digital Transformation. Most importantly, he was the first CEO of GST Network. He's also an IAS officer and has done a lot of work on technology initiatives in public systems. I also have with me Sharanya. Welcome, Sharanya. She is the executive partner in Lakshmi Kumaran and Sridharan and one of the top tax lawyers in the country. Thank you both for joining us today. Both of you come from very different perspectives on this system. Prakash ji, you led the implementation on the ground. And Sharanya, you bring together the legal and the user's perspective. Could you share what GSTN represents to you? When did you first hear about it? And take us back to those days.
So if you're talking about GSTN, first when they invited application for the position of a CEO, that's I came to know that, okay, they're looking for someone to lead this and start the conversation. And the project, of course, we were aware because lots of work had started from sales tax to VAT and VAT to GST. And I had the opportunity to work in sales tax. I worked some part on VAT, and later on I was fortunate to work on GST as well.
So you know exactly the transition, why it was important, what was at stake. Sharanya, when did you first hear of GSTN? First reactions?
So I think we were hearing about GST itself from, I think, 2011. Yes. That is when it came. We were in our office studying the EU VAT at that time, just to get ready. And we've got all of those books that we used to read. And then we kept waiting and we kept waiting. But we did get the first model, GST law. And I think 2015, we got one iteration of it. By the end of 15 or middle of 16, I'm trying to recall, that's really when, they said, there's going to be digital, everything is going to be online. I think that's really when it caught on, when we realized that GST is happening. And then, of course, our firm has been involved even at that time, with the GSTN at the back end to help with some of the understanding the legal provisions and how do you translate that onto the network.
I think that's a very important element, and we will come back to what technology processes mean to legal understandings. Sir, without a doubt, GST, I want to differentiate between the technology for GST and the GSTN. As we all know, GSTN is the entity that is holding together the technology. What was it meant to solve? What was the original vision of GSTN?
So the original vision was to remove the cobweb of almost 24 indirect taxes, federal level, state level, and the third level of our governance. So all the three, we had too complicated system. Lots of taxes were getting subsumed into the price. And when you are exporting taxes as well. Then on top of that, all the companies which had offices in various states, they had to maintain that many accounts team and tax team to manage that. So it was a very, very complicated, nightmarish situation. And the idea was to replace that with something where you have clear-cut input tax claims, and then also you enable free movement of goods from any part of the country to any other part.
So was that vision, did it clarify over time? How did it change over time?
Okay, so it can be answered two ways. Objective was very, very clear. This is what we need to. When I joined in October 2014, as Saranya mentioned,
Right.
there was no law till 15, and we had already done quite a bit of work till that time. So you'll ask me, how did you do that? So lots of rules and the forms which you see were drafted by us and later accepted by the government, because
Fantastic.
that's was the only way we could do it.
forward.
Rules give you the forms and the processes, which we designed based on the empowered committees, those small committees which had on registration, on return and tax payment. So that's what we used. And based on my past experience of doing sales tax computerization in mid-90s for Delhi government, and also I had excellent colleagues, 7 from state governments, tax departments, and say equal number from central government. Now this 14, 15 people were only doing this. And then of course we were also complemented by tax experts like what she mentioned. So,
Right.
yeah.
So there was already action. You were building stuff as you go along, but the end purpose was clear. The end goal was very clear.
End goal was clear, but the processes were not there. And when we launched in 2017, there was lot of criticism that we didn't bring all the functionalities. Actually, we built the ship while it was sailing.
That's a good one. So what? So I know that's it's like trying to the analogy is very good, because what we have all heard from outside are the the criticisms of the system, but from the inside, from the person who is actually building out, constructing something so challenging, what were the challenges you faced? And
Oh, too many
Too many
challenges.
challenges.
So see, if you don't have the rules, which, as I mentioned, prescribe the processes and the forms, you have to design on your own, which we did. And that was first. And we trained 5,000 officers on the return. Because the law, as you mentioned, came somewhere end of 16. And then when it went to the council, they made a fundamental change on how the reporting of invoices will be done. We had designed every line item with HSN code to be separately entered. They clubbed it together for tax rate. Now what happened? It's a very simple thing to say that I have changed it, but that's the atomic part of my return, because every invoice and every line thereof is the smallest part. Now, if you change that, my whole design got changed. And then, so let me share an anecdote. When it happened, I went to the revenue secretary. I said, sir, it cannot be rolled out in July. There is no way. We have trained on something else, people, and now we have something else to first create and then train. So he put his hands on my shoulders. He stood and said, that's fine. Neither you nor me have a choice about it. So we have to do it. But then he was very, very supportive, Dr. Adya. And he said, you decide what we will do first and tell us. So naturally, registration is the first. Tax payment is the second. Return is the third. Then you come to refund. And that was delayed. So there was huge outcry and all that. I was hauled up before the Public Account Committee and all.
This is the problem with, or rather the challenge with public systems. It can be very dynamic because there are so many stakeholders and different kinds of stakeholders.
So it's not a problem with the public sector. It's a problem of our mentality. If you go to a marriage, an hour before till that time, there will be guys who are setting up flowers, this, that. That's what we believe. We say, okay, sab ho jayega, last minute tak hoga. That's the culture. And here, in fact, what had happened, we didn't get enough time. In other countries, like Australia, I'd say, with Canada, many places, they freeze the law, then they give time to the executing agencies to do that, then allow people to get trained on that. Now here what we saw, first time government was ahead on technology and whole industry was behind,
Yeah.
including large companies. They had never worked on APIs. They all our taxpayers knew something called JSON. JSON
Upload करना है,
upload
upload करना
करना.
है.
So that's there. Yeah.
Your thoughts as a user or a transition period?
I think what Sir mentioned definitely puts a lot of context, and I'm so happy that you're doing this, because this does definitely clear a lot of the why. This vision of GSTN, at that time when it came, we didn't even understand what it is going to look like, at a user level. There was definitely a lot of apprehension, right? And of course, fantastic idea, fantastic vision. And sometimes I think you do have to set unrealistic deadlines for something to get done, especially in a country like us, right? I think there was a window that was a golden window which the government had if it had to push through and wait for some sort of a life cycle before the next election could take place. I think that was the practical reality. So I think somewhere we understood as what advisors and consultants, we realized that, okay, that's the reason it's happening. The initial period was extremely confusing. I think our firm itself has done for more than 400 or 500 clients the transition, to do training. We've understood, we do the training.
Is it transitioning their compliance and internal workflows and technology?
Absolutely. So that was, I think, the biggest challenge initially, right, in 2017. So from, March onwards, we are trying to train them what is happening, which is what we are now doing for GST 80. The training has begun now, right? So you have to train because, there is a particular way of filing returns. So if you have, say, 5 depots in different states, right, each state would have its own VAT return. And as Sir said, each of this depot, you had to have a local team to manage it. Right. Now, all of that had to get transitioned into a more centralized team, okay, maybe located in different places, right, but a more centralized team. The returns were different. The timing of the return was different. And again,
granularity was more.
Granularity was
HSN
more.
level codes were.
Yeah, granularity. Invoice, how do you do? E-way bill. I'll tell you, the initial few years of litigation, because see, from the user experience is when we had to rush to court. And not having the GST 80 initially has really put a lot of pressure on the courts, right? I think the initial 6 months, we've only seen e-way bill litigation. Okay, then we saw TRAN 1. Okay, then we saw refund. So as the life cycle and you file, so technical glitches. The initial few years were largely technical glitches. In the last 2 years, I don't think I've filed more than 2 or 3 writs on technical glitches in the last couple of years. Yeah.
But what has it meant? Because there has been some. Sorry, you were going to say something.
So just wanted to add to what
please,
she was saying.
please.
See, the returns were designed with a very, very idealistic scenario that, okay, they will upload the sales invoice.
Yeah.
Then it will be drafted into purchase invoice, GSTR 2. Then again, the seller will finalize. If there is something is not there, he would have added, I accept or reject. Now just thinking that every taxpayer who was filing once in a quarter is going to file 3 returns in a month, it just didn't work.
Yeah.
What you were saying, idealistic thing didn't work.
Yeah.
July, August, we were asked, now we are creating a new return called GSTR 3B.
Yes.
You will not believe in 4-5 days time, we created that, implemented, and we were told that it's going to be there for a month, maximum a quarter. From 17, today we are in 2025, GSTR 3B is still there.
It's still there. Yes.
Robust.
No,
Yeah.
not robust, but there are lots of fidelity of the return is lost. So we have not been able to replace that. So these are some of the challenges of when you're doing something which is brand new. No one had any idea how to do it. So like you may ask, okay, what glitches and other problems. We asked the department that how many invoices do you think will be coming? The figure which were given to us, we designed for 4 times of that. 4 times. Because I'm an engineer and my civil engineers colleague, generally they kept safety factor of 2. I said, let's keep 4 because we don't know. Even that was achieved very soon. So there were lots of unknowns. There are some known unknowns. There are many unknown unknowns. So that's the issue but hats off to those people who were at the helm of affairs at that time, like late Jaitley Saab
Yeah.
and Dr. Adia, who gave us full support because everyone else in the ecosystem didn't want GST to come.
I think that is the big thing, right? Something that is so audacious, so far-reaching, and visionary that certain leaders believe in the long-term benefit of that for the system and the country. How do you get people along and take them along in the journey? That is, I think, one of the big takeaways for us as we work on judicial reforms and technology for judiciary. The need for leaders to come up and take it forward.
Sometimes, one big leader like that makes all the difference,
Big difference.
Absolutely. So you need that. Suppose you are going to do for the courts.
Yeah.
You need one person senior enough to push that and actually force it. Like here, the government decided at the very top. Then it was left to the finance minister to get it rolled out. Taxpayers didn't want. Tax consultants didn't want.
Yeah.
Tax officers didn't want. Who wanted to get it done? FM, RS, and the GSTN team. But then still it was done because we did lots of things like industry, the large and medium size industry was very, very keen to get it done because of input tax credit and streamlining of that. Smaller size.
Absolutely opened up input tax.
Yeah, smaller sizes were not very keen because
Formalization pressure.
No, the arbitrage of excise and not being there was removed, number one. Number two, anyone who is buying now is saying, give me invoice because I have to take input tax credit. So they were formalized. So those pressures were there and it made, there was a pain for them, absolutely. But then.
So Sharanya, just to push you on that glitches portion, because the press headlines, like how Sir mentioned, full of not able to upload, not able to rectify, not seeing input credit. What does it mean as a lawyer at the highest court of the land? What does it mean to the sanctity of the processes and the legal backing to the processes? Do you think there are learnings from it?
Excellent question, Surya. I think as I said, the portal, the vision of having the GSTN, having everything digital and electronic, I think is a fantastic vision. And if I may add, I don't know if there's any other country that has it in the world. I don't know, sir. I mean, Europe is trying to move towards it, but I'm seeing the resistance there also.
Yeah, with dual GST, no
Yes,
other.
yes, not.
Canada has, but
Yeah,
that.
but not this kind of a complex federal GST, SGST, CGST. That operationalization is very,
And no one
very
has
complicated.
IGST.
And yes, absolutely. So I think, therefore, I'm just setting the context for this, right? One of the things that we saw in the initial days, some were forms which were not operational, right? So there are a set of provisions in the GST called transition provisions. So when they said excise and service tax, you are now going to subsume and we are going to get into GST. And all of these had concepts of value addition, which is when I'm getting my inputs or, my raw materials from a vendor, he is paying some tax on it, right? So goods have already suffered excise duty. They've already suffered service tax in the previous regime. Now, I have all of that tax as SENVAT credit lying in my books. I need to bring it to the new regime. So this is called a transition.
Right.
Stocks in trade were there. You have to transition them overnight into the new regime. So this was the whole transition mechanism. Now here we faced problems, lots of problems, and then the case went to the Supreme Court. I think almost 200, 300 cases. That's only what reached the Supreme Court. There were many in High Court. What was happening is that the there was a specific return format for transitioning all your old credit into the new regime. That, I think in August, end of August, 25th August or so, of 2017, it was made live. Okay. Even after it was made live. So first of all, already from a consumer or a customer perspective, if I have to say what happened, user, I had, say, for example, in the month of June, say 4 crores of credit, Senvad credit. Okay. I have an output liability in the first month of GST, say of 3 crores. I had to pay it in cash.
But that has not transitioned.
Because I couldn't have credit of GST.
Right. Because no returns were
my
filed
old,
yet.
and my old credit had not got transitioned. So that was a first hit, which was a cash flow hit that the companies faced, right? Because of that, what happened? Many companies didn't pay tax till they said, no, I will transition and pay. And it was again very confusing for everybody. It was a very difficult period. Then what would happen? 2-3 months you don't pay, your registration would get cancelled. So then you go and try to get your registration revived. In the meanwhile, you are not able to file the return. Now, whatever credit you have actually got in GST, that is also not coming into your... So that 6-8 months, 1 year period was very confusing. Even after the Tran 1 came, there were a lot of glitches. So it wouldn't get operational on some of their, logins. So some people would not find it on their login.
Correct.
Right? It wouldn't appear. So then they would say, okay, we will wait. Then you could file the columns. Again, it's a question of training, right? In the companies, people didn't know what certain words meant in the columns, right? Whether I'm supposed to put this amount, whether I'm supposed to put some other amount. So there was some inherent confusion and they would put, say, wrong amounts. Third, they would put general clerical errors were happening also. So these were just 2-3. There were many, many things.
And also editing was not allowed. So once you have
Editing.
put
I
that, then
couldn't
there was a
change.
problem.
But this seems to be as the word suggests, it's not a continuing problem.
No,
It's
it
a
was one time, transitional
period.
problem, but then it was a
far-reaching
problem.
impact.
It was problem at that particular time, as you mentioned, because your input tax credit of previous regime did not flow. Of course, there were lots of people who made hay while the sun was shining. She was talking about the peculiarity of VAT, excise, and service tax. Now, just imagine a state tax officer who has never handled service tax. Suddenly, he finds now he is under GST. He has to adjudicate on all. And service tax for your, because I had done goods taxation, I had no clue about service tax. And we found it's really complex.
Yeah. It's very abstract,
Abstract and complex, like you are an employee of a company which is headquartered in Noida. You are traveling from Mumbai to Chennai. Which state should get the tax when the ticket is purchased? These are all small things. Of course, we went back what EU had done or what other countries have done, and we.
So when this kind of user, feedback, if I came in, I don't want to get into the specifics. It's all past and a lot of it has settled down. But as a leader of an organization, leading a transition institution and a domain under transition, how do you respond to that?
See, there, and I'm sure Saranya will vouch for us, we were very, very quick and open to any kind of complaint we can. And for your information, my phone was available to every taxpayer. And I used to get call even in 2 a.m., 3 a.m. So but my whole team, we were there just to ensure that if anything comes, and in fact, I used to get information about something not working before anyone else could, or even before, because people used to immediately
being approachable, being open.
So, and the entire GST team, Infosys team, all of us were on that. So that was really, really. So anyone who is going to do this, the lessons are you should do everything beforehand. Your laws, procedures,
absolutely.
training has to be done first. You cannot do it subsequently. As you mentioned, the government had that window and then they did that. So that's very, very important. Then envisage what all can go wrong. What challenges could be there. So that's also something which we need to do, especially
I
when you are
just
moving.
want to add to this because I have to really commend the GSTN. When we would file writ petitions, because that is when, as a lawyer, our interaction would happen, right? You would have people appearing for, union, for state, etc. And there would be somebody appearing because we would array them as a respondent. They were the most forthcoming always. They said, if it is a technical, because we could understand, the mindset was very clear. They said, we are not here to make trouble, we are not tax collectors. For us, if there is a technical issue, if the portal is not working, or there is an issue with the uploading, or whatever, clerical errors, etc., which is not going to have any impact on the legal interpretation, they were always very ready, and they would get instructions and they'd say, okay, we'll change it. So from their end, as litigators, we in fact, it was very collaborative. It was not adversarial in courts. And I have to really compliment them because that really set the tone. Because if that there also, already they were facing issues with interpretation of the law. If there also they were being, not so generous, it would have been a very, very difficult situation, and the acceptance of GSTN would have been very low. Now people are very comfortable. There still are a few issues which are there, right? I think and I'll come to that maybe later when we circle back to it. But definitely, I think it's a really great backbone that we have.
Any large application is bound to have challenges.
Yeah, absolutely.
You may remember Obamacare. Day one, it just collapsed. So, if there will be challenges. If someone say that yes, my software, day one, is absolutely perfect. Apple, how many patches they give? The best company, software company. Microsoft, I will not even talk about. I am a former employee there. But Apple, the epitome, they come out because you don't know. There will be many corner scenarios. You have to. So that was my instruction to my team. Be proactive. Anything comes, analyze. And then we gave time to people. We gave windows to people to do those changes or corrections and things of that sort.
You mentioned how different and difficult it is. There are many innovations in this GST, implementation. Two we will talk about today. The first one is clearly the GST Suvidha providers, or GST solution providers. Such a massive, opening up of the ecosystem, leveraging the ecosystem to achieve what you want. Can you just take us through how that idea came about? Because it's a very technical and architectural level change. It's not just an operational change.
So let me just go back a little. When we are architecting the solution, I was very clear, having done many applications, we are not going to get into a monolithic application because that limits your response. The more number of users come, it starts slowing. Your agility to add things becomes very, very. So we wanted to make something which is very, very open architecture, and where scaling can be done very, very fast. So first place I went was Aadhaar. The chief architect of Aadhaar also actually vetted our design, Dr. Pramod Verma, and he made lots of changes. Then I went to Facebook, Google to understand how do they design system where they don't know how many users will suddenly come on their system.
Yeah.
So how do you make it scalable? And thanks to all the Indian origin engineers based in US, they gave me time. They made explain to me, and then let me just give you an anecdote. So while we were doing this, we also used to invite tech companies to come and say, okay, how this can be done, because we had some idea we will have so many taxpayers, so many returns, this, that. So the one company which has monopoly on tax systems across the world, their people, they've flown in their technology head from South Africa. He made presentation, and after that, I said, I'm not going to go for RDBMS based system. You must have understood what I'm referring to.
Right.
And then that fellow had audacity to tell me that you will fall flat on your face. I said, I'll see if Aadhaar works, this will also work. So So then I reached out to industry, our own industry. GST Suvidha provider concept came to me from iSpirit. That's our Bangalore-based
Right.
organization which helps. And they came and said that I asked them that how do I do, because there'll be requirements of a manufacturer is different from a service provider, from a retailer. Everyone has different requirements and I can't meet all of them. They suggested that you open up your system to 50, 20, 100 fintech companies and let them innovate and come up with solutions. That was one. Then we started adding on that, okay, they will also do reconciliation. They will prepare my return.
Right, right.
And then my philosophy at that time was, why should people come to my portal? Let them do everything there, including signing. They digitally sign. After that, it has to be just pushed into our system, machine to machine. And actually, it has worked. They have been a big, big help. We started with around 70. Number has gone down to 25 or
Because of market
26.
consolidation.
Market consolidation. Those who are not tech savvy, agile, they have gone out. But then there are others who are there and making great things. In fact, all large companies and mid-sized companies, they don't have the tech team inside. They do all this work is done by GST Suvidha provider. Returns are prepared. They also submit. Only the finance team goes and signs and submit.
Fantastic.
But my aim was, because that should objective was that they should be able to sign and then it can come. But then the law did not allow me to do, because it has to be done on this. But then submission part and all, otherwise people have to go and wait. Here what happens, you have done it, machine to machine, they will pull. And it goes there. Then you can go downloading GSTR 1, GSTR 2, then 2A, 2B, all that they are doing it today. Reconciliation with your PO, reconciliation with your stock, who is doing that? We couldn't have provided that service. So that they are doing it. They are, suppose I'm a CFO of a company which is present in 20 states. They're giving them the dashboard, what is happening in 20 different states. Though GSTN we also provided that a little later. So that innovation, now that is workable in many places. So what has happened, we have not only helped the main people which are taxpayers, but also created innovation by our own tech companies who have come into this. So this is a win-win for everyone.
It's it's not only architectural, technological, but also ecosystem innovation, I feel. But just as quick, Sharanya, it's not lawyers. I mean, more chartered accountants were affected by it than lawyers, but to certain extent, the tax return preparation job got taken over by technology companies, right? Was there any pushback or thoughts on that?
I think we all have to evolve, Surya. I mean, with a country which is this large, okay, we are trying to go towards, we have such lovely so many $1 trillion economy that we are moving towards, right? We want more FDI entering our country, okay? Your tax system is a very basic thing that we need. This is going to be the absolute foundation, because when somebody comes in, they expect everything to be in order, right? So yes, I think every time, and this is a very innovative law, right? So every time a new law comes like this, or every time a new innovation comes, it disrupts the market. But everyone finds their way. We are talking right now about AI, right? So, I mean, we are dealing with that. As lawyers, everyone is saying, oh, AI is going to come and take your job. No. You have to evolve above that. You're going to use that as your base. So your time is not going to go doing very clerical work, right? Your time is not going to go into, sitting and punching numbers. You're a chartered accountant or you're a consultant, then everyone elevates themselves. So that's okay. That I think, yes, definitely a lot of disruption in the market. But we are a very resilient set of people. Right? We all found ways to overcome it and improve it. And in fact, I think now you have far more chartered accountants and consultants who entered into this phase of advisory, and litigation in GST than ever before in service tax or in sales tax. Absolutely.
So the major difference is earlier they were looking at physical invoices, entering into the system, preparing return and giving. Here, you don't need to do that because you are using accounting software that generates this. You just need to check, provide advisory on top of that, where you are faltering, what changes have happened, where strategic more, where your accounts payables are stuck, where your reconciliation, which supplier is not giving you, where you have problems. So those are some of the things which now they are doing, so that you can, how do you use your capital faster, so that these are some of the things which they are doing. If you are stuck old days that I will put it in an Excel file and create, then
Thank you. And also, I think the market opened up. The person sitting in Hyderabad could now service person in Delhi also, right?
yeah, the way X-ray today, I come from a small district town. I had gone there recently, and I saw someone's X-ray was done. It was sent to Hyderabad, seen by a radiologist, and report came an hour later, including MRI, X-ray, everything. Because that's the way technology has enabled.
But the other innovation that I'm a big fan of is the idea. I mean, GST had a bunch of innovations. The GS Solution Suvidha providers was one. The second was GST Council itself. I mean, the first really thing. The states coming together with the union and pooling their taxing rights. It's an amazing.
Because of it, only this
everything
GST
became
came
possible because of that. And there is, I think, a need for exploring that model further for other domains of law. If we have to allow for states and unions to work on an equal footing in difficult domains. Another thing that happened, which is very relevant to our conversation today, is the technology for GST being handled by an entity dedicated to manage technology, which is a separation of technology and administration. The setting up of GST Network as a SPV. So, I mean, you were the first CEO of that entity. What was your early days
No, this was
like?
a brilliant move. And if you don't do it, what happens? We see it in other departments where a person is doing a number of things and technology is one aspect. That's one.
Additional charge.
Additional work. Then he doesn't have, like I had 7 plus 7, 14 tax officers exclusively for this. Where I had divided them into like 2 people, 1 center, 1 state working on registration, 1 center, 1 state working on return GSTR 1 in 2, 1 3B, like that. So that we get that experience full time. They're doing only that. That is not possible in regular unless you have. Second, people say, oh, I'll hire a big 4 and they will do all this. Knowledge has to reside inside, the higher level knowledge, how to do that. And that was, so who created this concept? Mr. Nandan Nilekani. And not only this, how the whole thing will be designed, but he also brought the concept of 51% private, 49% government. So you have flexibility of private sector, but total control like systems of the government. And that was a brilliant move where center and state divided 49% half-half, 24.5. And they brought private sector, but they had to ensure that there is no conflict of interest. You couldn't bring any IT company. So they brought banks and financial institutions. So that, and there is a Section 8 company, so you don't get any return on that and things of that. So that's what's a great innovation.
Yeah.
And I always suggest everywhere that you should have a separate entity to look after computerization technology. Something which we did here, it was not, while we were designing, it was not only to take care of the return filing and audit and refund, but also when the appeal takes place. So first level appeal is built into this, a file system. In fact, we had option we have kept it open for next level, which is GSTAT. So that litigant doesn't have to again take a printout and file. Any case that will be digital. So why do you take a printout, scan and again upload it? You just go and say, okay, this is my assessment number, unique number, and everything can be pulled. And the way we had designed was tribunal or the appellate authority can pull, but these guys cannot see anything. They can pull all the data so that they can see what all has happened. They can see the registers, everything they can see. And similarly,
The
tribunal
seamless digital flow.
flow
So there's
based
no
and the
repetitive-
role-based access.
Yeah,
Role-based.
role-based access. Correct. So on the GSTN, due to various reasons, it's now become 100% public.
Council
resource.
decided.
Right. How were the early days? I mean, identifying a technology service provider or working with states, because not all states were as enthusiastic about this idea.
So once they had agreed for implementation, they had agreed. So they had no choice.
Okay.
Because the council, the finance ministers had taken a decision jointly. But they were at different levels of automation. Some had nothing. Everything was on paper, even in VAT. Whereas some states like Delhi, Gujarat, Maharashtra, it was done on online kind of thing. And similarly, sales, excise and service tax. So, but it was various levels and all. The data was very, very uneven. We saw registration data of all these organizations, and then we decided to take afresh everything. And that ensured that we don't bring in garbage, so that because
Clean start.
and we
Clean start.
we felt in Tran 1 lots of such things had happened. So the one learning is when you are doing, try to do, don't, if you are bringing legacy data, be very, very strict about that, what you are bringing in. So that's one. Suppose you are going to do automation of any other organization. This aspect is very important there.
So, given how important GSTN has been to the success of GST, I'll start with you, Sharanya. What do you think could be done differently now, looking back, before we quickly pivot to what it means to the judiciary?
So I think, very honestly, I am not someone who likes to look back and say this should have been done that. In life, in general, that's not this thing. So that is one thing.
As a lawyer,
As a lawyer also. No, it's done. Lawyer, you get a brief, everything is there. And you're dealt your cards and then you play your game, right? So that's the thing. So with respect to this, I think, and we've sort of dealt with some of these things, I think the timing, the training that the field had, training that the users had, the training that the officers had, I think that is number one. Number two, understanding really at a granular level of each form, Again, as I said, things were lost in translation. Some forms were delayed. I would have liked, maybe if they'd pushed, say, from July to December, right? I think 40-50% of the glitches that we saw we not have seen it. You would have had the Tran 1. You would not have had to rush in with the 3B, right? You would have not had to do some ad hoc measures, which now we are left with. The Tran 1 turned out to be a little ad hoc, which we're suffering. And then what's happening is, in the Tran 1, I'll give an example. One round of litigation to correct your, transition credits. Second round of litigation that is happening is, you've taken excess credit, right? Now you return it. All of this you would have avoided if the portal or the return format had been a little more streamlined. If they'd given them more time to sort of iterate and have a few more iterations of that. So those kind of things. But having said that, I think more than looking back, I think learnings, like what Sir is saying, some of these learnings are extremely crucial for GST 80. Even today, we have problems in the GSTN. It's not free of issues, right? Unless and until all of us are filing our appeals to the Commissioner Appeals electronically, and it is all on the portal, okay? The transition, again, now we are going to see transition 2.0. Transition into GST 80 is going to be a big challenge.
A big challenge. Has been.
Already GST 80 is supposed to be electronic filing, right? Now, we would have liked if on the GSTN portal, okay, and we have to see the portal will get, hopefully today we'll get to see it, or maybe tomorrow. If it is having the capability to pull the appeal, or the
Records.
order in appeal from there, okay, because let's look at it. It's all very there are algorithms in it. No, I have 3 months to file an appeal. There is a date on which the order is uploaded. That will be the date from which you will calculate your 3 months. Then you have a grace period. All of those things will line up one after the other. So if I open my GSTN portal, I should be able to see all of that. Today, that cross functionality is not there, which is why now as a firm, we are building that cross functionality at our level for ourselves internally and for our clients.
Fidelity
So
check.
that you see it and you know, okay, and the 31 benches. I'm reading that the cause list will be uploaded one day before.
So this is precisely what we had, as a group, we had presented, that it should be built on top of that rather than a separate. So that's the first, so that you can just pull, and what you were saying, you can see. So for me as a taxpayer, it is very, very evident this audit has been done. Here there is a first appeal. In this particular case, there is a second appeal. Some of the states and central government decided that we will do the back end part. Now there was a gap. Those states for which GST did, every case didn't was there because it was generated using the system. Whereas in these cases, they had not developed. So they started using. And once you allow people to follow system or not, it's a recipe for disaster. So another learning is you should never have two modes of doing things, like
No choice.
paper and
Absolutely.
electronic. Never.
And
never.
that is now my fear, sir, with GST 80, because what is going to happen? Luckily, they've given time till 30th of June 2026 to do all your legacy filings. So all cases where the orders have been issued pre-March 26, you can do your legacy filings till June 26. But I have a feeling they will allow physical filings. The minute physical filing happens, you're going to see the same
So I'll tell you,
problem.
the inconsistency will happen. When we were designing, I was asked by the council members that you have to allow paper-based. I said, sir, if you do that, your whole GST system will fail. And I explained to them, because there will be paper, someone will transcribe, there will be error. And that is what, when she said that inconsistent figures, we found some of the states which were having their own backend system and what the taxpayer was seeing on the portal, they were different because they were not able to pull the entire thing from main portal. So the learning is never have two modes. You can have multiple agencies providing that Suvidha, but
Expand that.
expand that, but never allow two, that I will allow paper also and electronic also. That's a sure sort recipe for disaster.
I think you have already said that in various parts of the conversation, but given our conversation is about pathways to digital courts, and just to clarify, sir, your to the listeners, Sharanya and Mr. Prakash Kumar both are members of the GST Appellate Coalition that we are a part of, and which has done work on advocating for digital GST 80 and improvements. What do you think are takeaways for the digitization of courts and tribunals? Tribunals, GST 80 to a large extent, I think we've spoken to a bit, but courts in general, because, you know.
So GST 80, if they're 31, they should work on one application first. They should not work on 31 different. Otherwise, it will be a nightmare for both taxpayers as well as tax consultants, advocates. So that's for that part. And they should, if they are going for a separate one, integrate it with GST using APIs. Which facility is there?
Already there.
It's already there. They just need to tell, okay, give me this, and you push back and you pull. So that's for the courts. Some of the honorable Supreme Court justices did fantastic work. Like Chandrasud sir did fantastic work. Lots of high courts have done great work. Now, if you ask that, okay, everyone should adopt one system, it becomes very difficult, especially when you have been working on for quite some time. But then there is a opportunity for those which have not done, especially in states where the district courts and subordinate courts have not done. There, if there are suppose 4 different solutions which are working well, honorable judges could say, the committee can see, okay, which one is best, and then implement that, give that as the model for everyone, rather than again everyone reinventing the wheel. That's number one. Number two, AI, which again some of the high courts are using, like for deposition, witness comes and he's deposing in Hindi. simultaneously it gets translated. Both Hindi and English are recorded. All that which is happening. Then analysis of your plaint which has been uploaded, analysis of the WS which has been uploaded, all that AI is being used.
Yeah.
This is the time it should be, again, one
Consolidated.
consultation, and then giving the equal, giving that lead. Not otherwise, what happens? One high court will do, another will do. We have so many. Why not? This is a new thing which is happening. Honorable Supreme Court has to take a lead in this, and then say, okay, these two high courts have done well. Let's make that and as a model and make it available to everyone.
Yeah.
So this is very important, that whatever has been done, of course, government's money has been spent. So once that is done, it's government's property, that should be given to others.
I'll just push back on that because we've kind of in the thick of many of these conversations. The other perspective to that is that let the ones who are doing well do it. And whoever is yet to realize the need to catch up, they will catch up in their own time.
No, so all I was saying, those who have done good, take that and as an example, and convert it into a model and offer to those who have not done anything.
Offer it to them.
So that they also catch up. Say, when we started, all northeastern states and hill states, they had paper-based filing.
Right.
So we said, okay, we'll do only one. And we did for all the states. We started with 8. Today, all the states and even central government has adopted that. So now there is no distinction of everyone is working on the same system. So that kind of thing, how do
Without
you
mandating it, how do you draw them to it rather than push it to them?
No, also, I'll tell you one more thing, that each of these ecosystems will, see, the more number of users you add into an ecosystem, right, the more granular and the more refined it is going to get over time. Because you will just get that much more feedback. And you will build, you say, okay, if I am going to try and say onboard 8 states or 10 states, just imagine the thought process behind the infrastructure you're going to create, right? And again, you're going to streamline. Today, the other problem we have is each high court has its own rules, right? And they're very autonomous in that sense. Each high court has its own set of rules. They are supervising each of the district courts and whatever comes under their jurisdiction. Now, the path from there to the Supreme Court. So Supreme Court has a very, very big task. They've digitized themselves. But from a court perspective, from a litigating lawyer's perspective or from a judge's perspective, what do they need? They want to ensure things are not delayed. Because today we are seeing a lot of cases getting dismissed just because of delay. Delay, you can definitely try and streamline if everything is digitized and say, as Sir said, okay, it's there on your portal. So, for example, motor vehicle cases, okay, consumer cases. Order is passed, it gets uploaded. If it just becomes alive, and from there you link it to, say, a high court appeal filing mechanism, where they pull out the information from there, not from what e-filing you have done and what date you have punched in, right? Then automatically you're going, and it is going to increase compliance. The minute you know that, listen, the High Court will get to know about an order that is passed. It is my choice whether I want to appeal it or not. And also government as a litigant will be a little more proactive. They'll have to take certain quick decisions. And the third issue that we face is lack of documents. So, for example, trial court, or let us take GST example, right? At the reply stage, I'm filing invoices, I'm filing my returns, I'm filing screenshots. If it's a classification issue, I'm filing, copies of, the labels, samples, my contract, blah, blah, all of this. It's a very heavy document, right? Now, if everything is digitized, right from my reply, and today, as I said, I have to break it up into 4 parts, I upload it, 5 MB, all of those issues are there. But if we can overcome that, okay, goes into my appeal goes into GST 80, that means at the GST 80 level, they will be able to pull this information from the portal and say, okay, reply you have filed, no, you've uploaded on the portal, you don't need to file the reply today with the appeal.
That was the basic
That was
argument.
supposed to be
Just
the-
you go and say,
yeah.
okay, I want to file. This is my reference number. Everything else will come from there. You don't need to file anything.
Repeatedly. So practically the last question before we sign off is, I'm sure given your depth of experience and, we can go on and on. One, if you were to answer in one single line, because it has been built as a digital public infrastructure, a large, complex system. What would you think is the single most important takeaway for users and stakeholders to get trust in such a digital public infrastructure? Because that seems to be the barrier, especially from the court side, the users to get trust in the digital interventions. One line takeaway.
See, trust comes when you are sure that whatever you have uploaded, it's there, it remains there, it has not been changed, and everything is transparent to you on how that information has been processed. That's the very important part. Suppose I have deposited tax, that much should be immediately come in my portal. So GST, we did a change, big change was we made banks to come to APIs. And income tax has done much later. So you deposit, and by the time you are coming back from bank portal, it's already there in your
ledger.
So that's the thing, that whatever I have done, it's there, and there is no, it doesn't change. No one is tampering with it. So that's the trust part, especially where your financial data or any kind of such thing is concerned. And the second one is all the processes which are adopted on top of that are transparent to me.
Yeah.
These two things, in my opinion, are very, very important for... Why do you trust Amazon when you're putting your money in the wallet?
Visible, real-time visibility. Sharanya?
I think the additional point, these are great points, I think very, very central. Additionally is also, I would say, problem solving. If the architecture, or leave alone architecture, if the institution that is running the infrastructure is listening to you and is ready to solve your problems, because everybody knows that nothing is going to be perfect. We don't even know what is meaning of perfect, right? As I said, as more users get on that, we will have more and more problems and issues, right? But if the infrastructure is something that is living and it is evolving, and you have someone at the back end ready to listen and ready to change, that is enough to create that trust.
You have a human to vent out to.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that the infrastructure that you're going to create, which is a non-living infrastructure,
Highly responsive infrastructure,
should behave in a living fashion,
right? Okay.
And be
Different
agile enough to adapt and to come and say, okay, if these are your issues, as I said, like if you'd say this is the glitch, readily change and readily modify it for you. That is a user experience. Like, and if you take, say, an Amazon example, for example, the wrong product got delivered. Okay. Now, there is a difference if you're going to the vendor versus, you write directly, if it's through one of those verified people. You know that, okay, if tomorrow pickup will be scheduled, before you come home, you've got your, replaced product. That also gives you trust.
Responsiveness.
So responsiveness, agility, and, ready to solve problems.
Great points. So thank you, sir. Thank you, Sharanya. Fantastic conversation. We're all eager to see how the GST Appellate Tribunal experiment will roll out. And as we record, it's going to be announced soon. Somebody who's been with the journey for so long, very curious to see how it play out. So listeners, to find out more about our work at DAKSH, please visit our website, dakshindia.org. That's DAKSH India.org. Please don't forget to tag, follow, and share feedback with us on our social media handles. And a special thanks to our team at DAKSH, Smita, Leah, Harshita, who helped shape this, and Tanish Seth and the team at Fresh Lime Studios in Delhi. Thank you for listening.